Hello and welcome to the STCfit Learning Podcast. I'll be your host today. My name is Jason Galea and I'll be joined by Ben Scott. Thanks for joining us on our way to creating 1 million positive outcomes in personal training by 2030. The podcast is brought to you by STCfit Learning's Coaches Collective, a premium business mentoring service for PTs who want to attract the clients they want, earn a higher income, and have a long, sustainable fitness career. If you enjoy the episode, please like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcasting platform. A 5-star review goes a long way to helping us reach more people just like you. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
We just stopped intros. We're just like, let's just start talking.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we're just like, we did it for a while, and then we're just like, why do we need this? Let's just talk.
Yeah. You've probably listened.
Quicker we can get into it, the quicker we can get someone on a hook. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, round 2.
Was the camera on already?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Always on.
Always
mate.
on, always
Always
ready.
watch what you say.
You never
Was there
know
like
what
a
comes
thumbs
to
up or
mind.
something there, or
Nah.
nothing?
Just a red light
shit,
turns
I'm
on.
Sometimes the best
okay,
shit
right.
happens when...
Tam's just on.
Our intro was us talking about intros while not doing an intro.
That's some Inception shit.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah. There we go.
So we're back. We've changed positions. We've
Yeah.
had some cinnamon scrolls. They're actually quite good.
Heated to perfection.
Where'd you get that from?
What was the shop called? Lava and Flavor and something.
Favor and
Grace?
Yes.
you've been there
Whereabouts?
before.
I think it's in Leverton.
Yeah, their beef brisket.
Oh, it went
eggs
across the freeway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
why
we
we got
never
stuck
called
on
that, yeah.
peak hour traffic.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
It's
yeah.
probably a rookie
Oh,
area this time of day.
Yeah, look, as soon as I was turning on, I was like, fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was alright. It worked out well. This
Yeah.
was worth it.
Was the coffee good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss Melbourne coffee.
Mm.
So much better. Wagga coffee just doesn't
Hit.
The old
hit the same.
Nescafe blend 43.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. Maybe. Nah, it's not too bad. There's a few not too bad places.
Are you guys like coffee, like have coffee machines at home level?
Were you
you
going to say
pod-
snobs or
Yeah,
enthusiasts?
we're
or
snobs.
that,
Use
or-
pods,
You're a
instant
snob,
coffee.
not me.
You're a fucking coffee snob too. Are you serious?
How do you have your
This guy.
What do you
Touch the
have?
button here.
What's your coffee routine?
Yeah.
What's the
What
machine?
palette?
What are you using?
What's the machine called, bro? I don't fucking know. Breville
both
something.
have
man.
a
It's similar to what you guys...
Breville barista.
Yeah,
something.
yeah, we've
So
got
it's got the
Mac
grinder inbuilt
thing.
and
Yeah,
the
we've-
actual steamer off the side.
Just
as well.
black, man. I
That's
just
what we
like
have.
it long
Yeah,
and
me too.
black.
Yeah,
long
yeah.
black and piping hot,
Yeah.
man.
That's
Yeah.
the way to like your coffee.
And chicken
Your
arms.
coffee. Just
That's
to be
honestly
clear.
it. Who has a routine for coffee? Who has a coffee routine?
What do you mean?
No, like a flavour.
like
palette.
Beans,
go-to.
your machine. Like
Oh, I'm
that's
the worst,
that's
man.
all part of it.
I'll go
Yeah.
for like $70 on special at Woolworths Bean. I don't care.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm just like, I'll go out. If
It
I want a
kills
nice
me.
coffee, I'll just go to a cafe.
It's kind of disappointing to have a
'Cause I
machine
live
like that.
I live
Yeah.
with Mudge.
Is it that good?
Oh, like you can get good beans and
Yeah.
use the machine
Yeah.
to its capacity.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's try and
Instead
get
of,
Padre.
and then you don't have to go buy.
Let's try and get Padre sponsorship.
Yeah, cool.
Yo, Padre.
Padre coffee's really good.
It's fucking awesome. You can subscribe to a fortnightly automatic delivery to
Yeah.
your house with delicious flavors,
Yeah.
ranging from fruity to bitter to nutty to a lot
Why'd
of
you point at
crème.
me when you said nutty?
Well, you said long and black, so there's nuts involved.
Nuts, I'm black. I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
I was just expressing that there's more than just
Yeah.
a bitter
nutty.
taste of
Dennis, you
coffee.
might like nuts.
chicken ass nuts and long black.
nuts. Big nuts.
Long blacks and chicken asses. Eating asses and long blacks.
You're a caramel man for yours, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like it. Like that nice foam at the top.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice smooth.
Caramel during winter, and then they like the fruity mango blueberry,
Yeah, not about that life.
especially as an iced.
Yeah, I don't
Fruity
like
mango blueberry.
Fruity notes in the coffee I
Yeah.
don't really enjoy.
You got. I think it's better cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
summertime over some
definitely.
ice.
Like an
Yeah,
like an
a
ice
fruity-
latte
I could
or
probably
ice
I could get with
latte.
that. Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like
yeah.
a cold drip or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I just make a espresso with ice in the cup.
Works too.
That works.
Telling you, cold drip will change your life.
You're very
You'll
decisive
have
there.
it, and you'll just be like, "Oh
Yeah.
God, you'll be on. You'll be
Yeah,
shaking. You'll be like, it's the next level.
Yeah.
It's good.
You were very decisive about the no fruit notes. Why is that?
Don't like it. Just
Yeah.
I like my
That's
coffee
interesting, like,
a certain way.
black
That's it.
and
Black,
caramel, yeah.
smooth.
No.
Yeah.
Black and smooth.
Black and smooth.
A little bit of sweetness at the end of it.
All right, the passenger in the car's probably going, all right, boys.
We get it.
we can't really have 45 minutes of sexual innuendo. I'm sure we can, but
Yeah. First question.
Here we go.
Is CrossFit coming back to its...
Is it coming
What
back?
year
The
was
glory days.
What year was that? The glory days of
2012?
Susie Muffin Top
2010?
snatches.
Do you reckon it was 2010?
No,
probably
it was
2012.
when we
yeah.
started, so 12, 13.
Is
Yeah,
it coming
12-13.
back?
Is it going to reach that level again? Are we going to have physios children being put through university
Nah.
via CrossFit
Nah,
because of
I don't think so.
health club PTs getting Susie Muffin Tops to
Overhead
snatch
squat.
and clean?
I hope not. It's developed a lot over the last, I'm going to say, 5 to 8 years compared to where it was. Like at the start, it was just a cool go do your day course. It cost you like $500 back then or whatever it was, and now you're qualified to go and teach, a 50-year-old man or woman to snatch and burpee as fast as possible
What
till
could
they
go
throw
wrong?
up. What could go wrong?
Sounds like our afternoon, to be honest.
But now I think the caliber of coach is a lot better, and I think because it copped so much slack at the start, everyone's a little bit more wary of how they now approach things. Again, not everyone. We can't sort of blanket say everyone's doing the best thing or the right thing possible. There's still those real like fanatic-y people who are like, just do anything and everything all day long and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Some people that works, some people that doesn't, and that's just the experience that you may have as a coach to be able to identify that on the floor. And that is there now, though, because that wasn't there back in the day because everyone was new. Whereas most of those guys that started, 10 years ago and got their qualification, they still own gyms. So they've now got 10 years of experience and they've made all those mistakes. Should those mistakes have happened, they could have been potentially avoided, but they were also potentially important for that growth of the sport.
Do you know what I find really strange? So I read the CrossFit Level 1 manual back in the day. And it was like gymnastics one day, endurance another day, like ollie lifting another day, maybe one WOD a week.
Yeah.
No one did it.
No.
No one.
No.
It's like, and then everyone was like, oh, CrossFit shit. It's like, no, the coaches are shit.
Application.
The actual model isn't too bad.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it was just that mentality that got built around you have to leave the gym every day feeling like you've been hit by a truck.
Yeah.
That, and that's it. And if you don't feel like that, you didn't work hard enough.
Yeah.
And that just builds a really bad relationship with training. I was there. I was like, I got to smash myself every day. And then you just start hating it. You're like, why am I fucking doing this? I'm fatigued all the time. I'm tired. I feel like shit. And it doesn't have to be that way.
I heard some stats about people like comparing the impact over a week versus an NFL player, and it was similar.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Fuck. Well, including game day.
Yeah.
That kind of attests, though, to the robustness of humans in the sense of...
They didn't die.
They didn't die.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one thing that's opened my eyes up to. I think we were chatting about it yesterday, is it's like we have... A lot of people have a very fragility mindset around movement, exercise, and human ability. Whereas I think if you go and watch a CrossFit class, if you're that person, one, you'll probably be sitting there, but it'll also open your eyes up to that they're okay.
Yeah.
They're okay. They can handle it. Does it need to be that? No, probably not.
Yeah. It's interesting, like even... Like I'm a big fan of watching the games. Like tune in every year, watch almost... Except for like when they have to fucking run for 3 hours or something. I don't watch those.
Like the marathon row. You're like, I'm strapping in for this one. Said no one.
Yeah. But the progression even in that, in terms of execution, seemingly has improved.
It's getting
a lot
better.
over that time frame as well.
Yeah, it's definitely getting better. There's some things that I'm just like, come on, why? Like, do we have to keep adding in and creating these new movements? I don't think it's necessary. Like freestanding handstand push-ups, that was pretty embarrassing to watch. It's like someone tunes into ESPN and like, what's this CrossFit thing? What do you mean? These are the best athletes in the world and they can't do one rep? What's going on there,
Yeah.
And it's like there is that... What are they actually testing? Because they try and say they're fittest on Earth. The definition doesn't really equate to the same if we actually pull apart the definition of fitness. But again, that's just what it's become.
It's such an American thing, though.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there's a reason behind baseball being the World Series, because it was... Something was called that, so it flowed in.
Yeah.
But like the NFL...
The
champions are the world champions, and the basketball are the world champions.
Yeah.
Like,
sounds better.
No one else fucking played, bro. Like,
You're your own competition.
Yeah, like it's not world championship. Anyway, it's very American, I think, in that way of thinking, which is a shame because like watching the games, and it's like they always talk about like our elite athletes and the fittest on earth and shit. It's like, are you though? Like,
yeah. Like, hey, look, I made this in a post once. It's like the people at the top that are winning, they might not even be the fittest. We don't know if we pull apart fitness in the sense of what it actually really means.
Yeah,
it's like we have fitness qualities, and whether that's strength, speed, power, resting heart rate variability, all that kind of stuff. They are fitness qualities, right?
Yeah.
And it's like conditioning is how we actually use those qualities within a certain execution, being sport, whatever that might be. So it's like, are they the most conditioned for that environment? That's probably a better term, but it sounds like shit, right? So,
yeah.
That's the other one.
The most conditioned on earth.
It's not as good.
I just think of like someone being like super shredded on like a bodybuilding stage.
Yeah.
This guy's conditioned, man.
Of course,
he's the most conditioned guy on earth. It's Mr. Olympia.
So what got you into CrossFit initially?
I think where I sort of began or started from it, because like before I was a PDI in the army, I spent a fair bit of time in the infantry, and I guess my training was just something you'd kind of relate to as like super GPP. It was just like dumb, like just dumb, like let's just do the hardest thing you can do for this day and go hard, balls to the wall every day type thing. And I kind of got to a point where I'm like, cool, I'm pretty fit, I'm relatively strong, but I'm kind of bored of this. And then I saw CrossFit, and I was like, that kind of fits. That kind of like fits what I'm doing. That's kind of cool. And then it just stemmed from there. And I guess the progression away from that now is just I don't have the time to compete. It's like if I was going to compete, I kind of want to hold myself to a standard of where I'd want to be, and I can't be at that standard. So I still love it. I still coach it, but I also really love other strength sports and other physical feats that are strength or concurrent goal based, essentially. So.
Yeah, Ben Scott, July 2022. Concurrent's going to be the next thing. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. I hope so.
I'm going to just make it true for myself in my own little echo chamber. Even
if
it's
not.
Start attracting all these
people. I'll just start hanging out with people who are like, I fucking told you.
It's just not a sexy word, though. That's the
concurrent,
thing. The issue is.
You got to
weapon.
We'll make up your own.
There needs to be a new word.
Yeah, let's make it up.
Cross-lifting, that's one.
The cross-lift is cool. So, like power building.
Yeah, it's a bit of everything.
Yeah.
I still use machines. I use barbells. I still do all the other weird
machines.
stuff.
How dare you?
Yeah, seriously. Machines are sick. They're so much fun.
You're the power building, right?
I like
that
term.
term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The power builder is. I'm tinkering with that name. Do you think it's good? Do you like it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Interesting. You don't power build. You just body build.
Yeah.
You say? Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Like you don't touch barbell.
will if I
Need to.
Today. But I don't squat, bench, and deadlift.
Smith rack rows.
I went through that stage where I squat, bench, and deadlift, got a good foundation of strength, and then I just deviated from it because I didn't need it anymore.
So you built your foundation on the barbells.
Oh yeah, and you got to.
Well,
I think you still need to. I think because there's nothing better to challenge your control of your body in space than a free weighted movement, right? And then to accumulate strength on top of that, it's like that'll carry over to everything. So then, it's probably why bodybuilders make good CrossFitters.
They do. Some. I can't say all.
Well, even
it's like,
the likelihood to cross over to other barbell crafts, we'll call them, because they're not sports.
Yeah, it's
like powerlifting and CrossFit is because the mastery of the movement is what makes bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So
I
it comes
think
from that foundation as well.
To put more context to the bodybuilder, I'm not going to say like the elite bodybuilder, probably not, but someone who's been around bodybuilding and pretty, I'm not going to say novice, but that intermediate area, they usually come across and they make pretty phenomenal athletes just because of, one, the capacity is there from, actually applying levels of intensity to certain movements. They have a huge potential for strength because they have large size muscles usually, right? And then just the other things is just working out the little kinks of, cool, can they get into certain positions? That usually comes if they've trained quite variably in the gym, I'm going to say. Like if they just stuck to, the same movements the whole time, didn't actually explore training through different ranges, that might be a little bit more difficult, but they usually come across and make a pretty good transition. And working on the conditioning side of things is usually a little bit easier than the strength gain side of things.
Yeah. Even characteristically, I guess, like just what it takes to bodybuild is like so regimented.
Yeah.
So it's like take that mentality and just channel it anywhere.
And that's the other thing as well is like bodybuilders, they have fucking intensity. Like they can actually come in and push to a really high intensity, whereas a lot of people again, I'm speaking anecdotally, but just from what I've seen, a lot of people come into CrossFit thinking they work hard because they got a sweat. It kind of hurt a little bit, but there is still there's still that difference where you're like, I'm working hard right now, but then there's like, I'm really working hard. This is quite painful.
Yeah, it's like the yellow tape and the red tape.
Yeah,
like the yellow tape's like, there's a little bit of burn. The red tape's like, you're about to die.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's like a lot of people think they're working hard, but they don't actually go to that next point. And that's kind of where most people go wrong, because they'll spend 6 days a week on that yellow line, so to speak. And it's like, cool, you could probably spend 1 day of that week on that red line and really make a change, and then maybe have a couple little yellow lines spread out, just working off that analogy.
Yeah. So how about for yourself, Dennis? Like, obviously power building, but defense has its standards that you have to meet. Would you find maybe they're not as high?
Not laugh so publicly about that.
Can you change direction?
Yeah, I'm curious how much do you have to do in movement variability to be able to continue to do your job well?
So me,
Yeah.
not the recruit, not the soldier.
For yourself, yeah.
A bit more, which is why I like the power building aspect of things.
More than the average powerlifter, right?
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's like the reason I've already accepted I'm not going to be the best powerlifter in the world, because I need to maintain this degree of athleticism. I'd like to call it athleticism. You know what I mean? There's different degrees of ability that I need to have in terms of conditioning and capacities, and be able to run, be able to climb, be able to scope, be able to pull myself up, hold certain positions, do 50 push-ups in a row. You know what I mean? So definitely, like, for me, I definitely have to sprinkle in a little bit of this and a little bit of that on top of my
50?
training. At least, you know what I mean?
We're going to test that later. 50 push-ups in a row.
What would you do?
In a row?
You know what I mean?
How many did you get at the Bucks?
I did 30 clap push-ups in a row.
No, but I think it
That's
goes
the party trick. That's it.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Even beyond like trying to maintain a suitability for the job that I have. I think just the health benefits of training in this way. You know,
Yeah. It's my only regret of powerlifting is that I didn't do more other shit, because I just became useless at everything. But at the time, I didn't care. I was just like, I don't care. I just want to be as strong as I can be, and doing that takes away from this in my head. Looking back at it, I think, and seeing the results I'm getting now with people pursuing that goal that are doing a little bit, it's like, maybe I could have been a bit better.
It's possible, and you always have that argument of like the interference effect, and it's like, does it exist? Does it not exist? I think it's more of like a fatigue and time thing. You only have so many hours in a week. You can only recover from so much. So it's really about how it's dosed across the week, across the cycle, across the year, whatever that might be. So that's probably where it becomes more important in the sense of how it's actually structured.
That's why I don't have big calves. I didn't train them. They were too taxing.
Nah, we figured that out last night. What was that? What was
I was
that?
never overweight.
We weren't overweight as children.
It didn't spend 13 years.
I grew up chronically underweight.
Fuck. Thanks, Mum and Dad.
Yeah. Future kid, you're definitely getting a weight vest for your second birthday. So, when it comes to a needs analysis for someone who has concurrent goals, do you have categories specifically, whether it's CrossFit specific or just general concurrent goals? How do you approach looking at that person to assess them?
It always comes at meeting them where they're at. That's usually the thing. A lot of people will be like, oh, this is the goal, I'm going to work backwards. And it's like, the goal is very important, but where are they at? What do they actually need to work on? How do you figure that out? And then it's, I don't think you can jump into it as quickly. So I usually spend, if I'm talking how I'm going to program for someone, there's a solid block of, I'm just figuring this person out in the sense of what they can handle because of the whole interference and recovery aspect of things. I can't really push everything that I believe they need on them at once, because it could just put them on the back foot straight off the bat. So we're obviously looking at like potential strength markers, recoverability is a big one, and then looking at any type of energetic limitations, whether it's we can break those down to a few different categories, being like, is it respiratory limitations, are they cardiac limitations, are there limitations at the muscle themselves? So do they actually have the potential or a higher potential to utilize that muscle group in what they're trying to do? And then we can also look at movement capacity, or like movement in general. Like, can they actually do what they need to do? Like, what's their movement like? So there's a few different things I'll look at, and those are probably the main ones. But it's all brought back from the goal.
I think, and it's the same with strength coaching, and it'd be the same with bodybuilding as well. There's something that I think is exacerbated in this concurrent model is skill. It's like being good or shit at something has such a different impact on the fatigue element of that exercise. Like, funny story. So, when I first started with my current coach, I had overhead slams in my program. Did them in the front yard on the grass, but whatever. Haven't done them for ages. Been going to the gym. Did a home session the other week. And like a dead-ish ball, like the big brown one that they use at the games and shit. Like I remember grabbing that thing from my hip, ripping it up over my head and slamming it. And the first slam, I missed my nose by a fucking inch. And I was like, whoa.
Yep.
And then the thought of that was like, okay, so if I'm producing that much more power, is this exercise now more fatiguing or less fatiguing? Because I can actually access it. Whereas before I could probably just do it all day. But now I've actually got access to this expression. It's like, fuck, okay, so that's another thing that you need to think about when you're programming for someone.
Yeah, and that definitely comes down to that person's archetype of what they've done prior. So how they're going to actually be able to express force and how they're actually going to be able to use energy. Because we can go kind of nuanced here. Do we want to deep dive a little bit?
Not?
Cool. So we can look at movement is probably the most important thing if we're going to a CrossFit sense when it comes to movement ability, movement capacity. It is the underlying basis of everything. If you cannot do the skills to a decent standard, you should not be applying them in a workout because you're literally going to dampen the effect energetically that you're trying to get from that workout or that conditioning piece or whatever it might be. So with what you're saying, we can look at what is that person limited in? And you can do a couple of different tests to figure this out. And usually looking at where they've come from in their prior sport, like with yourself at powerlifting, you're probably quite powerful. You're probably very good at using the muscles you have and utilizing the energy at the working muscle. But we can look at a few other things. I'd probably say you'd be really good at doing a set of 10 or 5 slam balls on their own, but let's throw you on an assault bike beforehand. Now get off and do those slam balls. It's probably going to be a little bit harder, right? Because we have now caused a different thing to happen in the system. And we can look at that from a sense of what's going on in the lungs, what's going on at the heart, what's going on at the muscle. On its own, you are really damn good at utilizing oxygen as an energy source at the working muscle.
Yeah.
But prior to that, if we now get your heart and lungs involved, we're messing up the delivery of that oxygen to that working muscle, and now you don't actually have it there to use.
Yeah, it's
so
interesting. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I break it down, and it's not saying that we can look at the 3 energy systems of lactic, alactic, and aerobic. They're all there, but they all work together. And the underlying thing that all of them need at the end of the day is oxygen. And if we don't have a constant supply of oxygen throughout, you're not actually going to be able to express what you're trying to express.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's fascinating.
Can go a little bit deep down that. And with the slam balls, for instance, is that a skill component that you've brought on because you've done them and it's like, now I'm all over it? Or is it have you actually made a physical fitness or energetic adaptation or strength adaptation there? And that's kind of the hard thing to determine.
Yeah, I think there's, looking across my training, there's definitely an improvement in my ability to produce speed. Do things at speed. So to throw a ball, to even remember that boxing video I recorded in lockdown?
Literally just smiled thinking about it.
Yeah, threw some punches, did a weave, put it on Instagram, and Jason was fucking killing himself.
Tears.
But like
so
the video from last week, I haven't put the gloves on since.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I can actually let my hands go a little bit. Nothing like I did back in the day.
Vicious hands.
Watch out, that bag was in trouble. But yeah, just interesting seeing particularly in the throwing is where I would express it the most, where it's like, wow, my ability to make that thing move with velocity has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
But I also notice because I was so strong at the start, we didn't really focus on that. So strong tickets. Didn't really focus on that, but that's dropped. It feels strange to get under a barbell and go, fuck, that feels hard.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. It's like for the goal, how strong? That's always the question. It's like strength is underlying key to most at least concurrent goals I work with, but how strong do they actually need to be?
Yeah.
So it's like, do they need to be working on a barbell this many times a week? Because that's going to probably have a huge effect to how they're going to move. And same with yourself. It's like, how strong do you really need to be to meet your goals? Because you're already quite strong as it is just from your background.
Thanks.
So we can kind of leave that there in the back pocket a little bit while we actually bias your limitations over here. So it's like, if your limitations are here, we still want to touch the strength stuff, but we just want to touch enough so it's still there if you need to pull it out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we bias what you need to bias and work on while still training the full system.
Yeah.
Where's the ceiling for that?
In what sense?
For strength.
Yeah,
So,
cap.
like, how do you know Ben's strong enough to meet the demands of all these other things that he has to do? Or
So
accessing it when you want to, like you just said.
Yeah, so it'll depend on his underlying goal, right?
Yeah.
So if we're saying last night your goal was 6 times body weight total, how far are you off that to begin with?
Yeah.
And how far are you off all the other stuff as well?
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, if my strength is up here, the other stuff's here, well, we got to bring the floor to the ceiling,
Yeah.
right? So we got to bring the floor up to at least a decent standard, and then we might raise the ceiling again, and then we'll kind of just keep going like so, bringing the floor to the ceiling each time.
In a competitive CrossFit setting, where's that? What's the context for that? If say Ben wanted to do CrossFit,
What's strong enough?
Yeah, what's strong enough?
That has gone and pretty much exploded over the last sort of 3-4 years. It used to be like a pretty obtainable number.
Yeah.
Now it's
nutty.
pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like if you want numbers, like the average male to be at an elite level needs to be able to snatch 120, needs to be able to clean 160, 250 deadlift, 200 back squat, 100 kilo strict press, while maintaining, a sub 5 minute mile.
I can do one of those things.
So it's getting to a point where it's like, yeah, okay, cool. You need to be, again, I'm not going to say genetics 100% play a part. There are still workhorses, and I think genetics can be used as an excuse, or it can build a poor mindset around actually trying to obtain a goal.
Of course.
But it does play a part for those 1%ers.
So it's sorry.
No, you're good.
It's funny though, like it's weird how we say that, and within fitness in particular, because it's like an attainable outcome that everyone goes to the gym and becomes a thing. Not everyone's fucking 6'5" and can play in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's like you can still go play basketball with your friends and get better, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird how in the fitness industry it's so determined by like, oh, well, if I can't do it at the national, international level, then I'm no good. It's like, well, you're fucking better than you were last week.
And we had this discussion about genetics the other day because it popped up, and I used to be big on like, oh, I don't have the, I use that fucking excuse, and that's all it was just an excuse because I was being a bitch. Like,
do you reckon it is?
Yeah, I think it's an excuse because it's like, at the end of the day, do you know? So let's say LeBron James, right? He picked up a basketball at 9 years old and didn't stop playing. What if he didn't pick up that basketball?
Yeah.
Would he still be the best basketball player of all time?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. He'd still be quite athletic. He'd still be able to do certain things, but you don't know. Whereas if you're sitting around going, I don't have the genetics, well, you're never going to know. And maybe you're not going to be up here, but you can still get pretty damn close.
You're talking top end's genetics.
I agree. People don't pursue the cap on their genetics enough.
Yeah.
But I think just as many people look at other people and think, if I just do what they'll do, I'll have what they have.
That is a big thing in CrossFit. There's a lot of naivety around. They're just training this many times a day. They're eating the right food.
Creatine.
They're taking creatine.
Plus.
Paleo. Like, I was like, motherfucker, they're on so much gear. Like,
that guy got banned.
Are you serious? Like, the testing is a joke. Like, but people are just like, they're natty.
So
like, they're not.
I was holding back on whether or not we could have that conversation.
No, let's fucking send it. I'm all about it.
I want to know, was Gerard just a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Not Ponzi.
Scapegoat.
I reckon he was scapegoat for sure.
Yeah,
they got to show that they're testing.
Or was he dumb enough to fail the test? Which is what like Broderick Chavez and that talk about.
Yeah, potentially. Probably both. So I don't know if you guys know much about how CrossFit actually tests their athletes. So here's the issue with it: is it's like most other, let's take the Olympics, a few other international sports like weightlifting, they go through WADA. All right, so WADA goes and does the testing, and everything for WADA, when they get the results, is released publicly. Where CrossFit is a business, so they third-party test, and then the third party sends CrossFit the results. CrossFit
They
go,
can pick and choose.
who am I going to release?
Yeah, apparently
You know,
that's what the
it's
NFL does
your
too.
biggest moneymaker who drives the most ticket sales, brings the most views, test
You're gonna
positive.
cancel them.
You're probably going to be like, shredder.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like, hey, mate,
So-
just letting you know.
And again,
next
that's not saying that they're all on stuff. I can't say that. They're not phenomenal athletes, because they are. They work damn hard. But I think just going around saying they're all natural is just a reality that you can't sort of hide or turn away from.
They don't look it,
Yeah.
let alone how they perform.
Yeah.
Those numbers you threw out just before,
Yeah.
it's like what you'd have to do to get that,
Yeah.
and then see what they look like and see how they train. It's like,
Yeah. And there's so much like hate in the community. If like, you know, I don't really care if I say this and then everyone be like, oh, he's a fucking bro. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just making those claims because he didn't get there and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, cool. But I'm also realistic. Like, it is what, do I care? No. But just let it happen. Do what Strongman does. Strongman just like, so we want to test, you know, the highest caliber of human. Let's just, let's make it an even playing field.
Yeah.
So, and then it's like,
I love it. I think it's fucking awesome that they're all on, because it's mad to watch.
Yeah, it's entertaining as fuck.
I want to see people do shit that I could never fathom doing.
Yeah, and it's like, you think, say like there's whatever 20 people at the CrossFit Games, and then the bottom 5 get popped for illicit substances or PEDs. 5 people at that level on PEDs, but the 15 above them are natural.
They're not. Yeah.
That equation
And
itself doesn't make sense.
And the 80 under them.
Yeah, like that equation itself is just like, it's like there's no natural guys stepping on the Olympia stage, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So that's probably my perspective on the PEDs within the sport.
If I could, I would. That's all I'm saying. If I could, I would.
Yeah.
Hands down.
For sure. So the other thing that I'm very curious about in this like concurrent kind of space, working in all of our sort of worlds, right?
Hey guys, hope you are enjoying this week's episode. If you are, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to head to the website where we have all our free resources, gifts, products, services, and merch for you guys to enjoy. All right, let's head back to the episode.
Me, who's like, yep, I want to actually tick some boxes that would kind of maybe say CrossFit-esque.
Yeah.
Jason wants to be good at golf.
Mm-hmm.
You have work commitments and are an international powerlifter.
Don't you dare air quote. Don't.
The elements of being good at being a human that come with concurrent training, I'm very interested in. So, adaptations to different things. Building strength, building muscle, particularly building muscle, I would say takes the longest period of time out of those adaptations versus... So if we look at strength, hypertrophy, speed, power, endurance, if we could order those in speed of adaptation.
Oh, man, it's so dependent of where
Throwing
that
you under the
person's
bus.
at. But I could say the next slowest behind strength that also probably gets a blind eye turned to the most, and that is just pure aerobic training.
Yeah.
Because you need to do a shit ton of it to create an adaptation for it. It's like, why are marathon runners why do they have such a high aerobic capacity? They run like freaking stupid amounts of hours a week, and they work that system so much. And that's probably, for a concurrent athlete, I think is one of the most important, apart from strength, because that alone is going to dictate how fast you recover. That system alone, because that system controls your recovery, right? It's like, yeah, cool, we've got our aerobic, got our alactic, lactic, but those two need this. They need the aerobic system to replenish, recover, start again. So underlying aerobic training is probably the biggest one that a lot of people miss, because it's fucking boring. Like, it sucks. Like, it's long. Like, you can, and that's the thing, you can make it interesting. And that's where I love concurrent training, is it's like, you don't have to work off this model of, we're going to test your mile, or let's do a Bronco, or whatever it might be, and we're just going to program, some longer running sessions off that, and we're just going to, rinse and repeat that week after week after week. It's like, we just need work capacity. So we can work in any way you want. It's like, let's just find some movements that you can repeat, that are fun, that you enjoy, and let's do those with some assault bikes, some rowers, whatever it might be, in a 30-minute block, and we'll just keep some continuous movement. Can you keep moving like comfortably through this to an extent, but it doesn't have to be boring.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be the stock standard, oh, I'm just going to go for a run.
Yep.
You know, and again, that running might not necessarily be important. Like, is that part of the goal? You don't need to run. You know, you can, you don't need to. But the aerobic system is definitely king behind strength.
Is it the frequency, the duration, or a combination of both that is best?
Combination of both.
Yeah,
100%. But and that's probably especially for CrossFit, as you see, is they're so used to doing this like 5-minute workout, 10-minute workout, because it's heavy, it's fast, it's entertaining to watch, but they're ultimately going to suffer if you completely negate the aerobic training, aerobic system. So that's probably, I'd say, one of the slowest behind strength, just because of the duration it takes and how little time people put into it.
Is it the theoretically least fatiguing, easiest to recover from as well?
To an extent. So
it's depending, like, if you're obviously pounding the pavement and stuff.
So there's a couple of different ways we can look at it. It's like, if I was to do some aerobic training with, let's say Jace, for instance, I'd probably get you on some type of low impact cardio to start with, because it's like, if we put you out on the pavement and run, you have such strong muscle contractions from how you've trained. What's ultimately going to happen, and this is again an assumption just from what I know and what I've seen, your muscles in your legs are going to be working really hard. They're going to be contracting really hard, and we go through a process of muscle compression, vasoconstriction. Wow, I'm lost, sorry. Muscle compression, then there's venous occlusion and arterial occlusion. And that's basically cutting off fresh blood with oxygen to that working muscle.
Compression.
Muscle compression is the starting thing. And it's like, you could go do that whole running session feeling like you're working comfortably, aerobically. You'll wake up the next day and you'll be like, my legs are jacked. And that's crazy. Because you literally just ran for 20 minutes with your lower limbs in a hypoxic state.
Yeah.
Right? So you did not aerobically train those muscles.
And it's like, if you're not so good at running at the same time, to layer that on top of that.
Yeah.
You're not so good at it.
That's not a voluntary thing, right?
No.
That's just the adaptation's there.
That's there
for now.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to respond based off
exactly
history.
Right.
It's the powerlifter being puffed after 10 push-ups.
So in essence, it's like, we always talk about strength being the king. We, the Robur tree, we like the oak, the roots, strength, boom, boom, boom. But in actual fact, it's like, the more they have these conversations, the more they realise that actually the aerobic system is the king. It's like, that's going to be the fundamental thing that we build strength upon. Do you know what I mean?
And all that is, it's just because you have super strong legs, you've trained them to contract hard because, you're trying to, recruit most mechanical tension as possible to hypertrophy your muscle, right? And it's like, if you're out running, what's trying to get our heart, so our cardiac system is trying to push blood to certain areas so it can continue to work.
Yeah.
Right? And what's happening here is those muscles are contracting so hard, we're now creating a bit of a blockage, and your heart is not strong enough to push through that blockage, so it's just going to be in that fatigued state the whole time.
Blood flow restriction training.
That's essentially what you're doing when you're running, potentially.
So my legs can get bigger if I run.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Don't test that theory.
You can stretch them, and they will.
Let's go. What was the question? Sorry, I think I went on a bit of a segue there.
Speed of adaptations from different.
Yeah. So
or different skills.
Yeah, and you were saying it was strength, aerobics.
Yeah, I'd say a strength and aerobic system, and then the other stuff is all really going to be dependent on these two.
Yeah.
The other thing is going to be dependent on how much you dose them effectively. Throughout your concurrent training plan. So,
because I'm starting to look at things like post powerlifting comp training blocks. It's like starting to put in movement, power, speed expression, more endurance work. To kind of, I always went movement variability, which naturally built volume, shortened rest periods. So there was a little bit more conditioning element to the training. But now I'm like, well, what if Denis just actually rotated for 6 weeks after his comp? Would he be in a better position come the next comp, even though he doesn't need to rotate in competition, but he'll be better at doing a person? Like over an extended period of time. And then we spoke to Carl, one of the guys that we work with and he was saying like that expression of speed can have carryover because of the force production needed into strength as well. So they would work in a positive kind of circumstance. So it's, for me now, it's like, okay, well, how long do we actually need to expose Denis to that post-comp to get out of it as soon as we can to go back to building strength and muscle?
Yeah, it's a really hard thing to say or a hard thing to answer because, if he hasn't really done, let's say, any plyometric training beforehand and he's straight out of a powerlifting comp.
Rip.
Yeah, look, it might not be the best recipe right there. Just, and that depends on the powerlifter. Maybe they're a super heavyweight. Like, I'm not going to go to a box jump. No.
Other than the direct carryover from speed to absolute strength, we'll talk about the other things, the other qualities you mentioned there. It's like, the ability to rotate, whatever else. Would that prepare me to become a better powerlifter in the next instance? Absolutely not. It's like the aim at the next time that I compete powerlifting is become as stiff as possible, become extended as possible. So it's like, I can rotate to feel good. That's about the only kind of utility that would have.
Yeah.
Playing the transverse plane post comp is to feel good, maybe feel a little bit less cranky in the shoulders and the hips and the ankles, perhaps. As soon as we're starting to near closer towards that competition, it's like pull that away. 100%. Don't even worry about that. Let's stiffen you up again. Yeah. Let's make you feeling cranky. Let's get you strong.
Yeah, and that's honestly where I'm experimenting at the moment. Is like, how much time does that take? When does it need to come out, and when is it having negative impacts on different clientele at different times? And I think it's really interesting. So I work with, for context on that, like I work with primarily females who, when they get rigid, think they're fat. My clothes don't fit. I can't move well. I feel chunky. I feel this, and you're like, look at the measurements. If anything, you're leaner. So it's like, well, if I can put movement variety in that makes you feel better, you buy into, like we said in the previous podcast, getting them to do the thing. Like if you feel better, maybe you'll do the thing more. How much of that actually takes away from your performance?
Because what I would do is, like, in that instance, I'd still have, so they come out of competition, I still allocate, opportunities for them to test, not absolute strength, but test strength to a degree where you can start to notice declines or ascents in strength. And it's like, okay, you're coming out of comp, we're going to do like top singles at like a very, very low RPE every single time we train, right? Hypothetically speaking. And you're going to do this rotational stuff, feel good stuff. Once I start to see a decline or a decline trend of strength, right? Then I'm going to start to probably take away some of that rotational stuff, perhaps. Yeah. That's what I do with the powerlifts.
And it is, I think there's also at the end, there's a little bit of a point of where it's nuanced of how advanced are they? If it's someone at a world's level, probably wouldn't do too much of it because if their goal is to still go and be better than they were last time. But if they're intermediate or novice, you can drip those things in, and just from like a skill perspective and like a neuromuscular adaptation perspective, they're going to get something from it that's probably not going to interfere too much with even their just, like, actual goal.
Spatial awareness and basic coordination. Doing those things, I think, helps.
100%. And maybe that'll be the impetus that makes their training a little bit more fun for them to push even harder again. So that's the other component we can add in.
Yeah, it's interesting. Someone currently doing body composition, general strength, that kind of stuff, looks at...
Is that Susan?
Susan's has been trained for 3 years.
Yeah, man.
In shape, strong, general. Like that person we talked about in the last podcast where, like, now's the time where the newbie gains have stopped. They look at, and even for myself, look at CrossFit and just go, that's a fucking big mountain to climb. Where are you starting when you've got people coming to you who maybe necessarily don't want to, not necessarily compete, but watch the games, got excited, were like, I want to be fucking...
Where am I starting with them?
Yeah.
The question, do you really fucking want to do this?
Look, that is a part of it, okay? Because it's like, if they just want to come to me and do CrossFit because they want to have fun, I'd literally tell them to go to a CrossFit class. I'd be like, go to a CrossFit box. I'm not going to bullshit them and be like, I'm going to make it heaps and heaps of fun. Yeah, you're going to have fun. You're probably going to enjoy it, but I'm still looking at it more from a performance perspective if it is specifically CrossFit. And I'm not going to be able to make it as fun as you'll have in a class with your friends, trying out, learning these new skills and having fun. So I'm not going to bullshit them. I'm going to tell them that straight off the bat. Like, if this is really what you want, let's do it. And I'll do my best to facilitate and make it as fun as I can while doing it in a intelligent manner of progression. But you're still going to get all those things at a decent CrossFit box. And you're also going to have emotional support from, 30 other people. You're going to have heaps more fun. And if that's your goal, that's going to be the better option for you.
So I heard just then is that Jason needs to start doing CrossFit as well.
Yeah, you'll love it.
So
You'll
we
love
can
it.
go to the gym.
Yeah, you'd get so many compliments for just being saucy as, so you'd love it. Yeah, every time you'd walk in, every time you walk in, the ego just be stroked. You're like, yes.
Yeah, because
he's wearing me down.
I struggle with the we refer to it as the high five culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I struggle with that. Like
Yeah.
going to a class, like there's a couple, and I'm not throwing
Hang
shade
on,
at anyone.
give me a high five.
No, I can't
Yeah,
do
come
it.
on, give me a high five.
do it.
Give me a high five.
Even that makes me.
Let's go.
Ugh,
How does that make you feel?
Ugh.
Yeah.
How does that
Dirty.
make you feel?
dirty?
Really?
Yeah, I hate it.
Why?
Because it doesn't feel genuine.
Doesn't
Because
feel
I'm not a high
genuine.
fiver.
Okay. Did you play sport growing up?
Yeah,
Okay. And there was like 10
but I
high
was
fives,
was
things like
never
that?
like the
Bum slaps?
bum slap in the rooms,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Same.
I
Dennis
think
is
that's
all about
why I
bum slaps.
gravitated towards powerlifting.
Yeah, okay.
It's like I can train with my friends by myself.
I think
Does that make sense?
you'd come over to it like once you're in that environment because it's not fake.
Yeah.
It is genuine. People are actually genuinely getting up one another, and you're like, at the start, you're like, this is really weird because I haven't been exposed to this. But then you're like, oh, that kind of felt good, and that's kind of the thing we found with each other is we're assholes to each other, like me, Mudge, and Dennis. And every now and then, someone will like say a compliment, and we have this weird adverse reaction. You're like, you fucking right, man. Like,
Don't
what do
do
you want?
that.
Yeah, what do you want? Don't do that. And that's so messed up. It's like you can't even compliment your mate for doing something good without them potentially having a negative response to it. And it's like, where did we create that? Where did we create that? Why did we create that? And Mudge did a weightlifting competition the other week, and he did quite well. And I messaged him, I was like, good job, man. I was proud of you. And he told me later on, he's like, oh, like that was really weird, but like, thanks, man. Like that was awesome. I've never actually felt that, and it's like cool. Like that's not hard.
Yeah.
So why do we treat each other like shit?
I think we
got poor exposure to it. Early.
Yeah.
like every moment of the day, high five, like just. And you could just see it was
performative.
It's disingenuous.
And that's the thing. It comes down to that at the end of the day. It's like, was there a genuine like meaning
Motive
behind that, or was
Yeah.
it just someone, I don't know, blowing their own ego, trying to be a nice person and show other people that they're a nice person or something like that? So
they're trying hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Because I've had it in a powerlifting environment where like there was groups of half a dozen of us that would usually train together. But like I said, you train by yourself. And then, like, if someone's going to hit their top sets, like, everyone stops. And you get around that person. I'm all for it. But when I just, like, there's the CrossFit gyms that I've looked at locally.
Yep.
All the posts are, like, 100% about community. And I'm like, I kind of just want to do my thing.
Yeah.
And because I think training, too, is for me, part of it is a unplug from coaching.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm the exact same in the sense of, like, classes are fun. I do enjoy them, but I love training on my own.
Yeah.
Like I love going and throwing down on my own, and it's just really trying to figure out and understand the person you're working with. Like I'm sure you guys know, it's like if they need that stuff, I'm going to find a way to try and make it happen. And that's a lot of the guys I have. It's like because they started CrossFit and that's what they were first exposed to, they're in, you know, and then it's like, I need this, like I don't feel like connected to my community, and it's like, okay, well, maybe one time a week. Let's go and do that. If that's the little bit of motivation that you need, it's going to help. We'll give that to you.
Totally see that too. With like, I think because we have such a cool community that we work with every single day, and there's maybe what it is as we talk about this is like I would feel like I'd have to coach.
Yeah.
In that environment, because like I am going to be an experienced lifter coach in that room, and there's going to be people that are less, even if they're probably better athletes than me. I will feel like I'm in an environment where I have to, because I'll just put that hat on.
Yeah.
We're training by myself. I'm like, or training with Jace, or training with the guys I was training with. It's like, I'm not fixing your deadlift. You got to coach. You just do the deadlift, give you fist bumps, and off we go. See, fist bumps, not high fives.
Yeah.
I'll remember that for today. I'm still going to give you a high five.
Yeah, so that's just an interesting dynamic of that kind of environment. So you made the comment, like, are you sure you want to fucking do that? How many people come to you with it are just like, I just want to be a weapon?
Everyone. He's asking you, but everyone.
Yeah, so it's like when I look at it, I don't want to be a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
But I want to be CrossFit.
How many people do I get?
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
Like I was saying to Jace last night, I try not to work with a huge roster of CrossFitters anymore. I did at the start.
Too much work, man.
Wait
till you start running a block.
It's a bit of a nightmare. I love it and I enjoy it, and it's still one of my passions. But there's just a lot going on. So, and to do that to a standard that I want it to be at takes a long time. So that's going to be a small group of people that I kind of want to do that for.
Yeah.
But
everyone else just wants to fuck with the lights on.
Everyone else, they're just like, let's get jacked. Let's lift some fucking huge weights. I still want to be able to maybe go run. I'm like, sweet, let's do it. Like, I love that shit. Like, let's go in, throw down, have a good time every day, slam some weights, look like a big dog. Like, like what more is there? You know, if you don't have a goal of competition, it's just love what you do.
You know what I've actually found really challenging with the transition is not having lol not being able to, as you so eloquently explain it, is throw down. Because I'm shit at everything.
But
it's so hard. I'm excited for the when that time comes. So like I've got sprint intervals at the moment. It's like the last one, they're supposed to be tempo. Sorry, Max. The last one, I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, let's see what I can do in this 100-meter sprint or whatever, and lay on the floor and die afterwards. And it's like, that's what the 3RM felt like. That's like the 1RM felt like. That's the fucking let's go. But everything else, I'm so shit at it. And the strength is supposed to be pulled back so I'm not fatiguing for the other stuff. And I'm like...
so you're not getting to do the thing you love?
It's like the patience it's taken to be able to even consider the red line. It's like when you get a new person who doesn't know how to lift and they're like, can we test my 1RM? And you're like, no, you'll just break.
It's an interesting one. I don't know kind of what your program looks like, but you can do both. You can do both.
Maybe I'm just being a pussy.
Like but again, you can, like, as I've said, and that's one thing I've learned is like you can push your human body a fair bit, and maybe you push a little bit too far at the start. Now you know that point, right? Like now you know that point. You've got that marker to work off of. Like, cool, that's it. Now let's just keep it a little bit under that for the next whatever. Let's not go there. But if it's that, what's the thing you still love throwing down on? I'm not going to remove that because you still love that shit. We can still sacrifice a day in the week to make that happen, while we're still doing the other stuff over here.
I think it's just unfortunate that thing is a deadlift triple.
Look.
So that makes it more challenging.
Especially like, you know, deadlift and then sprinting. It's the other thing as well. Sprinting is a different one because it's kind of very skillful in the sense, and it's also very taxing. Like, you know, no one's really going out and doing, you know, I thought I used to be able to, like 10 by 100 meter sprints. I wasn't expressing any type of capacity.
10 tempo runs.
It's like, but you do like a proper max effort 100 meter sprint, and you probably got one or two of them in you. And that's it. So it's a hard one. Whereas like the whole mentality of wanting to go and throw down every day, and that I think it just comes down to ask yourself that question: is that really what I want? And then if the answer to that is yes, well, you're going to have to keep grinding. If it's no, let's find that thing that you're just going to want to go in and slam every day, and let's make it work.
I think what got me interested in the powerlifting thing straight up was the finality of it. The barbell's the barbell. It's like, you can test and stuff, but it's like, I could dedicate, I only competed once a year. And I'm willing to not touch a single or a triple or even a 5 for 3 to 6 months in the pursuit of being better on that one day on that one lift. Whereas finding that has been a little bit of a challenge.
Have you set a day?
I haven't, and that's probably something I need to do.
It's
like
set a
list
day
and just be like,
set a day of I want this at this point, and that's also going to make it way easier for your coach to be like, fuck, all right.
I'm not laughing at you. I just had this realization that I'm going to fucking destroy myself this afternoon because I'm so excited to train. This chat's like, let me at it.
Yeah, see? I'm still terrified. Let the animal out. So, set a date. Make it happen. And, you know, if you fucking miss on the day, oh, well. I'm sure you're going to hit something on the day that's still going to be like, fuck yeah. Like, or you got close enough. You know, and that's the thing about concurrent goals is you know, they are a lot of the time kind of far-fetched in the sense of like, oh, I want a 200 kilo squat and a sub 5 minute mile. And, you know, depending on how trained that person is, you might be like, cool, we can maybe do this.
Yeah.
We can definitely do this, or you need another 3 years. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just the conversation you have to have. But have an alternative there. Don't just shut that person down and be like, oh, we can do this instead. This might be better.
Yeah.
And then, set that date in and just go for it.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to give you that drive. And especially because you come from a competitive background with powerlifting, you need that day.
It's turning into a running joke of the podcast.
Well.
My competitiveness.
You went to nationals.
No, I didn't actually go.
I thought you said, oh.
No. I qualified, but didn't go.
Well, national
I
qualified.
got called
athlete.
off anyway, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's their fault.
lockdown.
It's their fault.
Great. Yeah. Typical.
Yeah.
So
I'm a national level powerlifter. 'Cause I never actually went.
yeah. So I think still, just lock in that day.
Yeah.
And then build back from that day as well, and see. That's all obviously going to give your coach another timeline to work off too, because it's like, again, it comes down to if you don't have a timeline too, you can take things a little bit slower, which is going to be a little bit boringer.
Yeah.
A little bit boringer.
More boring.
More boring. Yeah.
Either
Whereas
works.
if you have a timeline, you're like, oh, we can amp it up a little bit. You know, it's not like you and that's where the other things that have the outside stresses come into it. If it's like, cool, we can amp it up, but what else is going on in your life, right? Like, because there is going to be some trade-offs. You're going to be a little bit more fatigued, but the trade-off to that is maybe you really enjoy that, or it's going to put you in a detriment at your work.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing to weigh up when it comes to, same with everything, right? It's like, what's the trade-off for the goal when it comes to your actual lifestyle?
Is there anything in your training that you can pull the string a little bit harder this week than the other things, or?
They're probably, to be honest, right now, work's priority. So it's like show up. Getting that to shift would be where the gains would be. Yeah, and that, like, my coach would just be show up more.
Yeah.
In general, and then you earn the right to express. Which is like those throwdown days in my head. That's an expression day.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the time that you get to show the outcome of the work. For now, it's like, it's almost doing enough to still make progress, but have zero impact on like work production. But at some point that will change.
Yeah.
I hope. I look at Jace like, please.
No, I don't know what you want me to do here, mate.
Why sprinting?
Why?
Yeah.
Running a long way is really fucking boring to me. I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, everyone wants to know. Everyone knows Usain Bolt's name. I don't know who the fuck the marathon dude is.
Kipchoge. You don't know Eliud Kipchoge?
The general public would not know that name.
Yeah, true. The general public.
So you want people to know your name, or?
No, just I think
okay.
like that,
Fastest man alive.
Yeah, it's like
Scott.
yeah, it's
The
like
title is
the fastest, the biggest, the
Yeah,
strongest.
people like the
just
explosiveness.
that feeling is like, like going out and plodding for 5Ks. Nah,
What's that feeling?
it's similar to
Man, you get there, so like you're finished, you've done it, you've attained all of those qualities. There's a podium, you step up on the podium.
I don't
It's
even-
like, what's that
The
feeling?
funny thing is, I don't even have to win anything.
Yeah.
I just have to do it.
Hypothetically speaking, you
Yeah,
step up
but
on the
it's-
podium,
it's-
it's like,
I-
what's that feeling?
I could only describe it the same as a PR or a PB in like powerlifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well,
That's how I look at it. I'm like, you PR, I'm just like, fuck, what's next? Fuck.
yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. So
I'm going to do more work now.
I'll be pumped. I'll be pumped for a day, and then it's what next?
Yeah.
What's next? But that, like, Jace will say I'm not a super animated person, particularly in the gym and stuff. And there's a couple of videos after third rep deadlift that I'm like, fucking let's go. And it's like, that doesn't come out of me very often, and I can't
But you
describe
want
to you what it is, and I'm emotional thinking about it.
Right, okay.
It's like that feeling's like 6 months of work expressed. It's like, this is fucking awesome. And I only other time I get that feeling is in my work.
But you want to feel that feeling a little bit more often.
I think it's tasting a little bit of
Yeah,
it.
because this is the question I asked before. I'm like, is there anything in your training that you're allowed to pull the plug on a little bit more? You know, this week you can pull the plug on this, or this block you can pull the plug on this one a little bit more.
Send it, yeah.
Because you were like, for now it's like I just need to show up more. So I'm thinking, right, your frequency is quite low. I'm just like, well, that means that you should be pulling the plug a little bit more. So if someone's got a higher amount of frequency, we can pass out how many times they can pull the plug. So effectively, if you're training 5 days a week, less pulling the plugs. If you're training 2 days a week, fucking ton more pulling the plug. Which is why I'm like, oh, well, you really like this feeling of being able to pull the plug and feel this certain way. It's like, well, why can't you do that? Why aren't you doing that?
Yeah, my latest block, I've got some circuit training.
Yeah.
And that's been the one.
Pulling the plug.
It's like, all right, it's a 10-minute circuit, and I think there's a confidence building in my capability too. Because 3 months ago, let alone 6 months ago, 10-minute circuit, I go hard first round, I'm done. Like, I'm probably going to spew. Like, it's a real problem. Whereas
you want an animation, we're going to get animation.
I'm like learning now to trust that I've got it a little bit more. Which will be told on the camera that I don't have much, but it's a little bit more. But I can then go 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Hammer drop. Send it. It's low impact. It's not going to tax me recovery wise. It's just hard, and it feels I'm in pain for that 3 minutes, and then at the end of that's like, tick the box, I achieve the thing.
And I think that's where, in a concurrent program, you can get away with novelty a little bit more. And that's probably why a lot of people are drawn to CrossFit and love CrossFit. I know that the initial descriptor of when it came out is like constantly varied movement, constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity.
Yeah.
Right? I'd probably rename that to what it actually is, and it's constantly novel, because novel is something that changes every day, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not varied because there's not much there's variation, but it's every day, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing that's actually there each week in a lot of the programs. But I do see that with a lot of guys that come to me, when they start following something a little bit more structured, there is a point where I can see them just like, oh, this is not what I'm used to. And we do have those conversations of, cool, we need to actually be able to measure some things. So we need a little bit more consistency in what we're doing, so we can look at trends. We can look at your gains, what's working, what's not working. But every now and then we can add in some novelty of a new skill or something they haven't touched in a while that's going to bring them back that, fuck yeah, I love this is really cool, I just did something different today, so even bringing in some novelty in those circuits, things like that can also be the driver of like commitment or consistency or buy into that program.
How would you, I'm trying to think of like where you go to that place that's like the PB, like when you hit 5 plates on a hack squat, or is it a body composition, or
at the moment?
Yeah. But when you work hard for it and you achieve it and you take like pre-Europe and all that kind of shit where you've got in really good shape.
Yeah. It's really hard to actually explain. I think because that outcome takes... Actually, you know what? I don't know. But I think I'm just built different from a motive to be in the gym.
You find more joy in the process at the time.
I find more joy in just like the last 3 reps of a set. Like I find most joy in that, and then I'll just keep trying to get it.
Yeah,
and that's what keeps me coming back.
Yeah,
it's like I could just work out no matter what. I don't take extended periods of time off. I'm not really like, I don't go through long periods of time where I'm demotivated or anything like that. I just go to the gym all the time. But I think it's because I just like scratch that itch all the time. Because I'm like always like touching that upper capacity of like what I can do for that particular movement every program.
Yeah.
It's
a different expression of competitive nature, I guess.
Even
if it is competitive nature, I think it's just internal challenge.
Yeah, I think I've adopted enough discipline to just get what I need out of that training.
Yeah.
It's like every time, because I just show up, I've got a pretty good training philosophy in my opinion for my goals. So it's like if I just do the things, I'll get a little bit of a taste of what keeps me coming back. Yeah, and then every now and then, like if I actually want to take things super serious, then it's like setting that date and setting that real specific outcome. It's like it just like would probably exasperate the feeling. I just get more of the bigger, getting stronger, getting leaner, but I think I just like kind of get enough of it when I train.
So you had a metric of a placing in the open. That was a thing that was important
for me.
Yeah, was that the driving force behind it?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what you woke up thought about
At
go
the
to the gym,
time,
think about?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, at the time for sure. I just wanted to crack top 100 in Australia.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll be happy.
Are you like that in life as well? Metric driven.
Fucking answer wisely, man.
We'll
find out if you're lying.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think I'm 100% metric driven. I think it's more on, I don't know, probably how I'm feeling at the time. Like if I don't like something, again, depending, if I have to do it, I will. But if it's something that I can just get rid of, cool, I'll look at a way to remove it from my life. So I'm not living that that whole sunk cost fallacy of like continuing to do something that I don't have to do because I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, but the reason I stepped away from CrossFit was just because to go to that next level, I didn't have the time to sacrifice, and it wasn't at the forefront of my goals or enjoyment, I guess. Like I wasn't really enjoying the 3+ hours in the gym.
Yeah.
And I was just loving business stuff and training other people. So I was like, I'm going to put more energy into that and still do this, but not to as high of a caliber.
Yeah. So the reason I ask is like Jace, when he started golf, will go out, play 2 balls, not score, figure out the stuff of it. Mm-hmm. On Sunday, I took my dad and my wife Pop out to play golf, and my stepdad, and we started with scramble. By the halfway through the second hole, I was scoring. Yeah. I just like have to know. I have to beat what I did last time. It's a weird. Do you have it being a powerlifter? I see it in powerlifters a lot more.
No, I mean there's a number of 300 that I'd like to see on the bar at some point. Does that drive me? Fuck no. No, it doesn't. Very much like yourself, I resonate a lot with what you were saying there, where you've scratched the itch enough, and you were like, I'm very disciplined, and very much similar in that instance where I've done it for so long. I see what happens over time when you scratch the itch. I see the rewards that are yielded as a result of that. That's made me more motivated. That motivates me.
Yeah.
So it's like just knowing that if I just keep showing up, I'm going to keep progressing. It's going to make me feel better. I'm going to get more motivated, and it's just like this circle.
If
your motivation circle.
If your total didn't improve, would you still powerlift?
I don't want to be rude. That's like a silly question because it's like the total will improve. The total can't not improve, you know? So, yeah, I would. Yeah, I would though. If we're in this position where the total didn't improve, it's like,
for it to not improve, let's say there's going to be other
I don't mean like
factors.
you asking is a silly question. I mean, it's like, it's hard because it's like...
But so think work gets in the way.
Right.
The dedication can't be there what it used to be.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. So I had 300 in my head too.
Yeah.
For the deadlift.
Bitch of a number. Hey.
Missed 270, nearly, it's all my lat. And then went, okay, why did that happen? I was in pain all prep. Everything was shit. It's like, I didn't give it what I've given it the last 5 years.
Yep.
Because I had too much other shit to do.
Yep.
My 2.5 hour workouts turned into 1.5 to 2. Movement prep wasn't done properly. Steps weren't done. Other recovery stuff wasn't done. I wasn't doing mobility work morning and night like I did before. Mm-hmm. Am I willing and able to do that again? No. Am I going to be able to actually achieve that 300 in the next 2 years? Mm-hmm. No, I'm out. I don't see myself progressing in this sport over the next 18 months. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't have the drive to show up every day without that.
Yeah, okay.
I would still train.
I still train.
No, I would still do the thing.
The thing, yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, what will drive you to still do the thing?
Oh, mate, I fucking love to work out. I've said it all the time. I just love training. I just love going to the gym. Like, it doesn't matter if I put on 0.5 gram of muscle a year. Like, I think there's a certain amount that needs to be done to keep what you've got. Mm-hmm. And I would be happy to do that at the bare minimum. And then whatever comes on top of that is a bonus.
Yeah, I think mine was more like, I'm not going to train. It was just, what else can I do in the time availability that I have that would provide progress?
If you don't enjoy it as much as, like, I enjoy my training way more than you enjoy any of your disciplines though, because I've done it since I stepped into the gym.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason why I can just do it because I love it so much.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have that, and it's fine if you don't have it, because if you're pushed, you're that person.
I love
like,
a specific feeling.
Set
that
a thing
comes
and
from
do it. Yeah. You want that fulfillment that comes from achieving the goal, and that's great.
The vehicle doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Where I can just get in the same car and just drive it all the time.
My training now, it's not really like goal driven in the sense of I'll set this thing and I want to hit this by a certain date. It's more I just want to be able to do everything that's thrown at me. And you know, I love a word like doing a stupidly hard session and being able to handle it and feel great afterwards, like sick. I managed to do that, and just seeing the shit I can put my body through and come out the other side of without being too stupid. You know, like that's what I enjoy. I just love working hard. Love the feeling.
I think if I try to deviate from the discipline that I have now from bodybuilding, I'd just be getting greedy because I'd want to keep everything that I'm doing now, but just add. Yeah. You know, the concept of like being quick and fast and mobile and all this stuff you guys are talking about. It's like, man, I'd love that shit. But it's like, oh, hang on, you have to not bodybuild for 4 days a week or 3 days a week or even 2 days a week. It's like, oh no, I'm too greedy. I need that.
Need more time. Need more time in a week.
Yeah, it's just like I wouldn't do it. Yeah, because I love bodybuilding so much.
Which begs the question. It's like, you know, like the vehicle doesn't matter. Could the question then exist where maybe we got into the wrong vehicle to start with? You know, maybe you entered this vehicle of bodybuilding like, fuck, this is my car, man. You know, I found the keys, I got the keys, I'm here, I'm not getting out, sort of thing. You may have entered the vehicle and just be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting. Because I've done a few things that and I think it's the feeling though.
Because the reason I asked that is because training for me started with martial art and then it progressed into bodybuilding and then progressed into powerlifting. It's like the martial arts, like the reason I don't train martial art anymore because it wasn't my vehicle. It's the reason why I have no interest in bodybuilding. I love training and the nuance and training people and whatever else of bodybuilding, but I'm not going to bodybuild. Yeah. It's not my vehicle. It's like powerlifting is my vehicle. It's like I found something that I'm good at, found something that I can keep showing up with. I'm seeing rewards. It's, you know, I can stick around.
I think mine was until it wasn't. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Like it was right up until the point where I was like, I'm done with
when I was training martial arts, I thought that was my vehicle.
Yeah. I don't look back and go, that was wrong for me.
Yeah.
I look back and go, that was an awesome time in life, and I would, if given the choice, I would 100% make the same choices again with powerlifting. Yep. There's no question about it. It just doesn't serve me now. Yeah. Because of partly. Because like I fucking smell a barbell and some steel plates and I'm like, load it the fuck up. Let's go. Like we did a lift off recently and we're like, you reckon you could just pick that up? Like, probably. Should we? Like, no, we fucking shouldn't. But you just like that smells some fucking chalk and shit and it's like the eyes still light up. Yeah. But it's like I don't have 8, 10, 12 hours a week to train. Yeah. So it's like, well, the main reward that I get from my training is that target of what's on the platform and what that feeling is. And that's what gets me to go in the door every single day. So I need to go find something else that can provide that in the time.
I think powerlifting is the fucking laziest sport, requires the least amount of time.
It takes the longest though.
The sessions take long.
That's what I mean.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I think even like maybe
I'm allowed to say that because I'm a powerlifter. Fuck these guys. They're lazy as shit, man.
Maybe I could have done it differently and it would have affected me less. But preps, like hard training during powerlifting, affected my work way more than anything I'm doing right now. Like day after deadlifts, afternoon after deadlift kind of thing is like, I'm fucking useless. Yeah. Sit down and write a piece of content and create something from out of my brain. Nah. Whereas now it's like that circuit thing, I can put myself in the ground and 20 minutes later be sweet. Yeah. Whereas after a heavy squat, deadlift or whatever, I need to go home and sit down for 2 hours.
Yeah, because that's a wild concept. Because the thing that sits in the back of my mind at all times with powerlifting clients is I never want them to feel that way unless we're in like a prep and we're pretty close to the competition. Yeah. It's like I always want to keep them in the back pocket, so to speak. I always want their strength to be there.
It's only at the end.
I don't want them to go home and be unproductive afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. It still comes at a cost when you get to that level, the level you guys are at. Yeah. It's like that's going to happen.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen to me. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, it could be. Who knows? You know,
the movement stuff he's doing,
maybe
obstacle course.
Maybe it is.
Maybe just I'm telling you, it's his underlying aerobic base.
It is. It's definitely something that I prioritize. You know, but it, you know, that'd be a whole host of different ways.
The mental fog that came with powerlifting for me was a problem.
You love it. You have like this twitch. You were talking about the barbell. I could see the eyeball twitching. I'm like, he really loves the barbell. Yeah. Perhaps that you just went every time you hit the barbell and touched the barbell and grasped it, you just wanted to fucking tear it up. And it's like that is energy demanding. and it's energy consuming.
Yeah, and we spoke about this on a podcast a while back, how like prep time, I go to sleep thinking about it. I wake up thinking about it. I'm thinking about it all day. The session comes in.
See, that's costly.
I walk in the gym and it's like,
we're on.
It's like music's chill until it's not. And then it's fucking time to go, and then it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a level like you were saying at the time that Jace is just like, it's the same every day. It's not mentally taxing for me with training. But when it's that time, it's like it's on, but the reward that comes with that on the day
is worth it for you.
Is like fucking
yeah,
Super Saiyan 3. Let's go.
Yeah, yes. It's not worth it for me because I get there and I'm like, what next?
Yeah,
I've invested way too much effort into this reward that I know I'm going to get there and be like, what's next?
Yeah,
you know. So that's why I say like, no, I'm not really metric driven in that instance. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Deep.
Yeah.
Huge.
Ben's too competitive.
A cancelling session for Ben.
Yeah, I got a started off with the training consultations turned into therapy. Thanks,
He's really turning. You hijack these podcasts often, for his own benefit.
100%.
It's all right.
I love that. Yeah, cool.
Anything, Dad?
Nothing at all.
No, I think just from a general theme
maybe back to what we were actually talking about.
Oh yeah, Because I was going to say, like, what are we actually fucking talking about?
Concurrent training theories, models.
I think bodybuilders should probably do more cardio for sure. How much cardio do you do?
Not enough.
Yeah.
I think that's the one shift that needs to be made, and I'm gradually getting that. I feel like I have to do it first for my guys to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because making that movement with my guys now, if they don't see me doing it, they're going to probably not have as much buy into it, because I can sit there and harp on about like, hey man, like you put on this much weight, you've got this much muscle mass, you've got, let alone the performance benefits. It's like just from you put on probably 10, 15 kilos of extra weight in the off season and then diet it off.
Yeah.
It's like these fluctuations and stuff. So there's going to be benefits from there. Let alone it's going to make you probably get to an actual rep in reserve that's, stimulatory. It's going to allow you to recover. It's going to allow you to show up, accumulate more volume.
Yeah.
Some attention's greater, more gains. So yeah, I think I've got to do it first.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing. It's like tailor the conditioning to the sport. It doesn't have to be on a, again, I'm not a bodybuilder, clearly. But when I think of bodybuilding conditioning, it's like, cool, let's go on the Stairmaster. Let's go on the treadmill. It doesn't have to be that. That's fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, it's just got to be done at an intensity that's going to stimulate particular adaptation.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to work slowly.
Yeah.
Grab a set of kettlebells, do some walks, do some throws with a med ball, add some fucking leg extensions in there if you want. Still at a lighter weight. You're still going to have your heart rate sitting in a zone that's going to create an adaptation that you're looking for.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be set on this one thing of, it just has to be constant on this boring, elliptical or treadmill or whatever it might be.
I think if you get good at, what do we say, Ben? Is it blending the vegetables with the pasta sauce? I think if you get good at that, then that's when the buy-in. But yeah, I still think for me, doing is going to set the precedent. So I've made that shift. Hence my just first 5 minute, very slow.
It's good
On the what's it called? Assault bike. That's the one.
And then the easiest thing, if you want to.
If you want bike that makes you do the fucking
and like I said, with like the running and the aerobic piece, with like the arterial occlusion at the legs and the onset fatigue from that and whatever the wrong adaptation that you might be chasing, the easiest and simplest way to apply any type of exercise to, let's say, a conditioning piece is like, how efficiently can they do that movement? It's like, if you can't efficiently or comfortably conduct the movement over and over and over again, there's no fucking way it's going in an aerobic piece, right? Because the capacity is not there. And that's, again, the biggest thing I see in CrossFit is it's like people are doing a 20-minute piece of conditioning that might have bar muscle ups in it, but that person can only do one bar muscle up. So they're standing there looking at the bar for half the workout.
Yeah, it's like,
sweet.
How beneficial
What's
is
the
that?
point? Change it out. Do something that you can do that's going to keep you in that adaptation or that zone that you're trying to work. So look at the skill, look at the movement. Can I apply the intensity to that to meet the intent?
something that's for bodybuilders, for example, when it comes to conditioning, it's like we like to talk about cyclical movements. So like bodybuilders love contracting their fucking muscles. Like every time they do something, push something, pull something, throw it, whatever.
Contract the muscles
They
right
want,
now.
right? But they want to contract. They want to feel
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
They have like this obsession with contracting of their muscle.
Yeah.
Now to move, you have to contract. Yeah, we get it, but you understand what I'm saying. And so it's like choosing cyclic movements, things that won't necessarily allow them to contract, stop, squeeze, feel.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So an echo bike, a ski erg, a sled push, carries of different
Yeah.
variations of sorts.
And,
You know,
and
so
that's the difference you'll see between a average CrossFitter to a high level games level CrossFitter is they'll make the hardest workout on earth look cyclical. They'll just continue moving the whole time, and you'll be like, motherfucker, I'm working hard. Whereas you take the intermediate or maybe even some of the advanced guys, really hard, catch my breath, really hard, catch my breath, and it'll be like a start, stop kind of action instead of that continuous cyclic work, because the underlying, either it's the skill component or maybe an energetic issue or a strength issue that's the case.
It's fascinating.
Last question. How proactively systemized can you be for a model like that?
It is a purely reactive model.
Yeah.
It has to be, because the demand is so high, and especially if that person is not just a full-time athlete.
Yeah.
You know, like what's going on in their daily life, what's their job. Again, that's the same for everyone, but just because of the variation of the movements and how much volume there is to fit everything in, you have to be reactive with how that person's feeling that week. You know, if there is, you know, it's going to happen. Like every athlete, we know this. If you're pushing upper limits, niggles are going to happen. It's just a thing. You're like, cool, how are you feeling this week? My shoulder's a bit niggly. Sweet, okay, we're going to have to shift all this shit out and change something else out. We can still get the same adaptation, but again, it just comes down to exercise selection for those pieces of conditioning. There are some non-negotiables that we'd probably have to keep in there depending on what time of the season we're in, but you have to be reactive to that.
Yeah.
So it has to be able to, again, you're going to have a set framework of what the season looks like, because there is still an off-season and in-season. And say if someone's got a goal, you still kind of have to have some type of long-term progression built out and have an idea of where you're taking it. Otherwise, it will just be random each cycle.
Yeah.
But you still need to be able to make changes, because things do pop up, because you are kind of pushing some weird and wacky things that do interfere with each other on a fatigue basis.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. All right. We're at another hour 20.
Sweet as.
I want to train.
Robur S&C is the website.
Yeah.
Just search Robur on the IGs and you'll find the boys. Appreciate you boys making the trip.
Yeah.
Nah, it's been great to come down. Thanks for having us on.
Please don't kill us
When?
this afternoon too much.
Yeah. No, you'll be maybe.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
boys.
you.
See
Thank
you all
you.
in a
Thanks,
couple of
fellas.
weeks.
thanks.
Thanks for tuning into the episode. Don't forget to like it if you liked it, and subscribe if you loved it, and share it with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Don't forget also to head to the website for all our free resources, products, services, and merch. All right, see you next time.